Our commencement speaker this year has a special place in his heart for Cistercian. He has left his imprint here as a student, as an alumnus, as a parent of Cistercian students, as a school board member, as a leader in so many ways. First and foremost, in his example of unwavering devotion to the monks and to the mission of the school. Jim Moroney recently retired as chairman and CEO of the A.H. Velo Corporation. He served as publisher of the Dallas Morning News for 17 years, from June of 2001 until March of this year. During his career at Velo, Mr. Moroney has served in several important capacities. He was president of Velo's television group, responsible for all of Velo's television stations in 15 markets across the United States. He also served as executive vice president with responsibility for finance, treasury, and investor relations. In addition, Mr. Moroney served as the founding president of Velo Interactive, which put all of Velo's newspapers and TV stations online in 1999. He has guided the Velo Corporation during a time period that has seen drastic change within the print and broadcast journalism industry, and is lauded by his peers for setting an example of managing innovation and adaptation while maintaining both quality and journalistic integrity. Beyond service at Cistercian and at Velo, Mr. Moroney has served on the boards of numerous civic organizations. He presently serves on the boards of the Associated Press, the advisory board of the College of Communications at the University of Texas, the Bishop's Finance Council for the Diocese of Dallas, and the board of the State Fair of Texas, and he currently chairs the board of the Dallas Foundation. In April of 2004, Editor and Publisher magazine selected Mr. Moroney as Publisher of the Year for his accomplishments at the Dallas Morning News. In 2016, he received the Frank W. Mayborn Leadership Award from the Southern Newspaper Publishers Association. In 2017, he received the James Madison Award from the Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas. Mr. Moroney graduated from Cistercian in 1974, its 5th graduating class. He graduated from Stanford in 1978, and in 1983, he received his Master of Business Administration from the University of Texas at Austin. Moroney and his wife, Barbara Bass Moroney, have 5 children: Sean, Megan, Kyle, and twins Callie and Jenny. Sean is a member of the Cistercian class of 2005. Kyle is a member of the class of 2012. Please join me in welcoming this year's commencement speaker, Jim Moroney.
Introduction. I was afraid that we might have people leaving during that. Thank you for all those kind words. Bishop Burns, Father Abbott Peter, Father Abbott Dennis, Father Paul, faculty, parents, friends, relatives, and especially the 49th graduating class of Cistercian, the class of 2018. Tonight I want to talk first about this class. I had an opportunity to visit with about 10 members of the class of 2018, and for almost an hour and a half, they gave me their undivided attention. That makes me the envy of every teacher that ever taught them. After some words about what I learned from that discussion from them and what I felt from that discussion with them, I want to break the rest of my remarks into 2 parts. The first part is what you're going to hear at every other commencement speech this month. And the second part is going to be what you won't hear at any other commencement speech this month. So let me start with what I learned about this class. First of all, probably many of you here know that Father Augustine is only the 2nd Cistercian graduate to take a form from its first class all the way here to graduation. The other person did that so far and long ago, we can't even remember when it was. that would be my carpool mate and our Abbott, Father Peter, class of 73. And that's 1973, guys. Just in case. Now, one thing I want to tell you about this class, do not insult cats. No, because if you insult cats, you may find that your door or your window or your wall is filled with paraphernalia that says, cats rule and dogs drool. And if you don't believe me, ask Father Augustine. He knows all about it. You're driving around this weekend and you have to see some guys crossing through the crosswalk doing their best orc imitation. Didn't come from Sterebon. Those are just some members of the class of 18 cutting up a little bit. Do not compete against this class in a game of wits. As you've already heard, they're an outstanding academic quiz bowl class. And this class has several Cistercian firsts. This was the first Cistercian class to form a prayer club. Now, wait a minute. Over 50 years of boys at this school, and this is the first class to form a prayer club. All of you monks out there, I do not think you're doing your job here. This was the first class to found a finance and investment club. I'm quite certain that thought never occurred to the class of 09. And they were the founders, as you've already heard, of the first and the wildly successful robotics team, and I congratulate all of you. They were also the first class to make ping pong a contact sport. This form is also rightly proud of an incredible comeback victory against Greenhill in their junior year, which gave them a berth into the SBC championship game. And as it began to look like this improbable, comeback was really going to happen, one of the members of their class, Frank Saldano, said, if we win this game, I won't go to college. Only a Cistercian student would think that's the ultimate threat. But most of all, what I learned is what a group of mature young men these are, and what a great devotion they have to their faith, to others, and to each other. On their Texas history trip, on a typically hot Texas day, they went up to a mission church. Of course, it wasn't air-conditioned, and without any prompting, many of the boys walked right into that church. They fell on their knees and began to pray. Members of this class have coached and mentored at faith-based camps. Besides their official class retreats, many of them have done retreats on their own. They have done thousands of hours of community service through channels like the Young Men's Service League, the robotics team, tutoring inner-city school students, going to nursing homes to visit the elderly, and so much more. Typically each class has 1 year where they have to set up graduation, and another year where they have to set up homecoming, and another year where they have to clean up after graduation. But I was told that somehow this became the permanent assignment of this class to set up homecoming and to clean up after graduation. So if you guys wouldn't mind taking off your gowns before you clean up tonight, I think everybody would appreciate that. Yet I want to tell you what really struck me most from this conversation with these young men is that they already seem to know that happiness comes from what you do for others, not what you do for yourself. And for that, I know they've taken note of the men who live just right over the hill. They set that example with their lives every day. Okay, now for part one of the rest. At every high school commencement address, the speaker will say something about you leaving the nest, about you starting a new chapter in your life, and about you gaining a whole lot more autonomy. All of this is true. And it sounds so promising and so enticing and so full of good things to come. Yet, class of 2018, I want to tell you that you can leave that nest and you can fall on the ground. And you can read that chapter and wish you'd never started the book. And you can take all that autonomy and turn it into just a whole lot more mistakes. What I'm trying to say to you is this newfound freedom of yours can give you the chances to have good outcomes and bad outcomes. And it all is going to depend on the decisions you make. Making the right decision is not so much a matter of intellect. It is as a matter of judgment. I want to say this to you again. It's not so much about a matter of intellect, making good decisions. It's a matter of judgment. And that's because making decisions is not usually a math equation with right answers and wrong answers. Most decisions require you to discern between better choices and poorer choices. And that takes good judgment. So my commencement speech request number 1 is become a disciple of exercising good judgment throughout your life, and I promise you, your life will be happier for it. At every other commencement address, and rightly so, the speaker is going to say to you at some point, after you graduate from college, be sure and work at something that you're passionate about. And I agree with that. Why? Because work without passion is labor, and labor without passion is laborious. Let me give you some synonyms for laborious. Strained, forced, contrived, stiff, stilted, overwrought, calculus, ponderous, and convoluted. Take your pick. Okay, calculus isn't really a synonym for laborious, but it should be, right? I mean, come on, stiff, stilted. But let's just say that you're married and you come home from your work, right? And your bride says to you, how did things go today, honey? And you get to say, oh, great, darling, it was stiff, stilted, forced, ponderous, and strained. But how about passion? The synonyms for passion are enthusiasm, eagerness, zeal, fervor, and spirit. I think you get the idea. And I promise you, the longer you work, the more that you're going to learn that it's not about the salary, it's not about the title, it's not about what size office you have, it's not about the parking space. Well, wait a minute, it might be about the parking space. Just let me get back to that. But there's no question, all the money that anyone will pay you won't make you love your work if you don't care about the work that you're doing. So here is commencement speech request number 2. Work at something about which you are passionate, and you will love the work you do, and your life will be the happier for it. Commencement speech request corollary 2.1. When you choose classes at college, you will have a tendency to go take classes about something about which you're already passionate. Wrong approach. A lousy professor can crush your passion for a subject in 3 classes. Instead, choose a professor who gets an A for how he teaches his subject to his students. If he gets an A from the students he teaches, I promise you chances are 100 out of 100 that he has a contagious passion for what he is teaching. And that contagious passion will turn into your passion for that same subject. So commencement speech request 2.1, when forced in college to choose between the subject matter and the professor, choose the professor. When you get a lousy professor, I want you to remember this. Okay? Finally, all commencement speakers are going to tell you to pursue your dreams. Okay, that makes sense. I went to college to pursue my dreams. I dreamed of dating cute girls. Actually, having gone to Cistercian, I dreamed of dating any girls at all. I dreamed of having no curfew, and on certain nights, I outlived my dream. I also dreamed of getting in a car and driving wherever I wanted to go without anyone's permission and without telling anyone where I was going. I realized that some dreams are stupid. Now, my parents were always very supportive. They said, dream whatever dream you want to dream, except one. Don't dream about not graduating from college. Because if you do, you're going to dream about being a part of another family. So I walked across that stage dressed just like I am right now at the end of my 4th year. So by the way, this is your parents' commencement speech request number 1. And it trumps all the other ones I've given you. Graduate in 4 years or less. And if you graduate in 4 years or less, I promise you that your parents' life will be happier and their bank account will be happier. Now, what I really want to say to you, though, is I don't think you go to college to pursue your dreams. I think you go to college to continue the journey to find your dreams. And if you're going to do that, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Meet people who aren't like you. Take a class from a great professor, but in a subject you have no idea what it's even about. You never skydived? Do it. Never bungee jumped off a high bridge? Do it. Tell your parents you're going to do either one of those things? Don't do it. But I want you to do these 4 things. First of all, explore as much as you can. Physically and mentally, explore as much as you can. Dare to do something that you're afraid to do. Change when your head and your heart are telling you it's time to change, and challenge every one of your assumptions. Because you're never going to pursue your dreams doing what you've already done. That's why they call them dreams. That's why they're always in your future. Now for the second part of this speech is what you're not going to hear at any other commencement speech this month anywhere. And that's because the one thing that I can share with you that no other commencement speaker at Cistercian has been able to share for 48 years is what it's like to be an alumnus of this school 44 years after walking off this stage. And I want to try to convey that to you and tell you what it can mean for you to be a graduate and alumnus of this school 44 years from now. Every one of you has been given a very special gift. It's the gift of this place. It's the gift of Cistercian. What is the gift of Cistercian? It's the gift of community. Greater Cistercian community, the community of the Abbey, the community of the school, and of course the community of the class of 2018. Like the vow of stability that all of the monks take that bind them to that Abbey for life, Cistercian gives you this gift of community that binds you to this place forever. I say that it's a gift of community because community is a unified group of people with a shared interest and with a common purpose. Your shared interest was going to school at this place, and your common purpose was to graduate. But once you leave tonight, you won't attend school here anymore, and you will graduate. Your shared interest will have ended, and your common purpose will have been fulfilled. That is, unless you, the class of 2018, establish a new shared interest and a new common purpose, and then continue this community that you have today. And that's what I'm asking you to do, to make a new shared interest the future welfare of Cistercian, and to make your common purpose to do everything you can to ensure the future welfare of Cistercian. How can you do this? When you get the call to help, answer and say yes. When you get the call to attend, be among the attendees. When you get the call to join, become a member. And when you get the call to give, be generous. If each of you does this, class of 2018, you will be a community, just like my class, the class of 74, is still a community. Like just last Saturday, when all of us gathered together to have dinner with our form master, Abbot Dennis, 44 years after we graduated. So it's really that simple. For your community to endure, each of you needs to make your own pledge that you will give back to this place. And I promise you, by virtue of you being here tonight and graduating, This place, Cistercian, has already given you more than you can ever pay back. And in the years ahead, some of you are going to say, you know, I've outgrown Cistercian. It doesn't have anything that I need anymore. But you are going to want one day to come back. In fact, you probably will need to come back. And what I want to say to you is, just like the father of the prodigal son, this place will welcome you with open arms. And that's because where there is love, there is forgiveness. And your friends sitting right here today love you. And these monks love you. And these lay faculty love you. Also, I can promise you this. Someone in your class who you think today is going to have an easy life and be very successful is going to need you to lend him a hand. And someone sitting right here with you that you think is going to struggle throughout his whole life is going to be the one to give you a helping hand when you need it. And I know this because I've had 4 decades to live with a class of 74, and sometimes I gave out a hand, and many times they gave a hand out to me. And through it all, and because of all we've been through, we are still a community. So to learn, to understand, and to appreciate what Cistercian can mean for you in your life ahead, you, the class of 2018, must endure as a community. That's because a community draws strength from its members, and its members draw strength from the community. If this community endures, and throughout your life, it will be here for you in times of joy, in times of struggle, and in times of sorrow. Many of you will get married here at the chapel by Father Augustine. Some of your groomsmen are sitting right here around you. Many of you will have your children baptized here by Father Augustine, and some of your godparents are seated with you tonight. And you will have Father Augustine and many of your classmates present when you bury your parents. How do I know this? Because Abbot Dennis married Barbara and me. He baptized all 5 of our children, and he buried both of my parents. And he's here tonight, as he's always been for me throughout my life, in times of joy and in times of struggles and in times of sorrows. And some of my groomsmen and some of our godparents and some of my very best friends are members of the class of 74. And many of them were present when I buried my parents. And in fact, a few of the class of 74 even came tonight. Would you all stand up, please? Please. Parents of the first forms to enter Cistercian built this place, yet it has been alumni who have grown it and who continue to sustain it. Be one of those alumni, you class 2018, all of you. Be one of those alumni who gives back, and in this way you will learn the love this community has for you throughout your life. So in closing, I want to leave you only with this admonition. Love your faith because it teaches you to love your God, your family, and your friends. And what is Cistercian but your family, your friends, and a place to love your God? And that's what it still is for me 44 years later after I graduated. God bless you all, class of 20.